Detectives, welcome back to the investigation. By now, we know the basic shape of the case. Dr. Vanessa Hammond was found dead in her office at Blackwood Academy on Monday, June 8th, 2026. She was expected at a faculty blood drive that evening. She never arrived. Claire Donnelly, the administrative assistant at Blackwood Academy, became concerned when Hammond failed to appear and eventually went looking for her. That search led to Office 214, and that is where Dr. Hammond was found. Last week, we focused on the early scene details: the office, the absence from the blood drive, the restricted faculty wing, and the questions surrounding what happened inside Hammond's office. This week, the investigation begins to widen. Investigators have now confirmed that several items were recovered from Dr. Hammond's office and desk area. At this time, a full inventory has not been released. That matters, because what was taken from the room may help investigators understand what Hammond was doing before she died. But for now, we are not being given the details. Not yet. So this week, we turn to a different question. Not only what was found, but who could have been there? This week, we inquire into access and absence, because in this case, absence matters. Hammond's absence from the blood drive mattered. Claire Donnelly noticed it. Others may have noticed it too. But access matters just as much. Before we go further, there are a few questions detectives have already begun asking. The first is about time. At this stage, the medical examiner has not released a precise time of death. Dr. Sarah Turner's preliminary findings place the death during the early evening hours of June 8th, but a narrower estimate is still pending further investigation. That matters because the confirmed public timeline is still thin. We know Hammond was expected at the faculty blood drive at 6 p.m. She did not arrive. Claire Donnelly became concerned later that evening. And Hammond was found shortly before 8 p.m. That gives us a beginning, not a complete timeline, a beginning. A second question concerns the scene itself. Some early visuals connected to the case may have shown different impressions of the office and the victim's position. Investigators are clarifying that the official scene record places Dr. Hammond face down on the floor near her desk. At this time, there is no public evidence that the body was deliberately moved or staged by the killer. Emergency responders did assess Dr. Hammond after she was found. Some minor differences in early descriptions or visual references should not be treated as confirmed evidence. The official record is what matters. Floor, face down, near the desk. Office 214. The third question concerns the desk area. Investigators have confirmed that the office and desk area were photographed and that several items were recovered from the room. However, those photographs and the full evidence inventory have not been released publicly. Well, not yet. That means we know materials were collected, but we do not yet know what all of them were, which ones matter, or what they may reveal. There was also a partially open desk drawer noted during scene processing. The drawer had a lock, but there were no visible signs that it had been forced. Whether it was already unlocked, opened by Dr. Hammond, or opened by someone else remains under review. And finally, there is the question of security cameras. Blackwood Academy does have cameras on parts of campus, including some exterior entrances and common areas. There are no cameras inside faculty offices. Footage from the evening of June 8th is still being reviewed. But investigators have indicated that one figure of interest may have appeared near Hawthorne Hall during the period now under examination. The person has not been publicly identified. At this point, all we know is this: someone may have been nearby. And in a case built around access and absence, nearby matters. Office 214 was not found in ruins. The room was not publicly described as ransacked. There have been no public reports of forced entry. So one of the most important questions now becomes, how did the killer get inside? Was the door unlocked? Was someone let in? Did someone have a key? Or was access to Hammond's office easier than it should have been? To begin answering those questions, we need to look more closely at Blackwood Academy itself. First, the headmistress. Eleanor Whitmore serves as headmistress of Blackwood Academy. She was notified after Hammond was discovered and emergency services were contacted. Whitmore has now released a brief statement regarding the investigation.
Dr. Hammond was a valued member of the Blackwood Academy faculty, and her death has shaken our entire community. We are cooperating fully with the Broward County Sheriff's Office and will continue to provide investigators with any records, access information, or personnel details that they require. Out of respect for the investigation and for Dr. Hammond's family, I cannot comment on specific evidence or internal procedures at this time. What I can say is that Blackwood Academy takes the safety of its faculty, students, and staff very seriously. We are reviewing building protocols and assisting law enforcement in every way possible.
Detectives, that statement is careful. Maybe appropriately careful. Maybe too careful. Either way, Eleanor Whitmore matters. As headmistress, she has authority over school operations, faculty administration, and campus security procedures. That does not make her suspicious by itself, but it does make her important. If investigators want to know who had access to faculty areas, who controlled building policies, and how the academy responded after Hammond's death, Whitmore is someone they will need to speak with. And then there is Andrew Bell. Andrew Bell is the facilities manager at Blackwood Academy. And that title may not sound dramatic, but in a murder investigation on a campus, facilities staff can matter quite a bit. Facilities staff often know the building better than anyone. They know which doors stick, which locks have been replaced, which offices have spare keys, which hallways have cameras, which entrances people use when they do not want to be noticed, and most importantly, they may know who had access after normal hours. Bell has not been accused of any wrongdoing, but the question of access makes his role impossible to ignore. If Hammond was killed inside Office 214, investigators will need to know who could get into that office and under what circumstances. That includes faculty, administration, facilities, possibly students, possibly somebody Hammond allowed inside herself. And that brings us back to the unidentified subject. Investigators have not released a complete account of campus movement on the evening of June 8th. However, there are early indications that at least one student may have been near Hawthorne Hall around the same time that investigators are reviewing. We don't know whether this person saw anything. We don't know whether they entered the building. We don't know whether they were involved at all. But their presence raises another question. Who else was nearby? This is where the investigation begins to widen. Claire Donnelly remains important because she was the person who raised concerns and found Hammond. Eleanor Whitmore is important because she represents Academy authority. Andrew Bell is important because access to the building and office may become a central issue. And the unidentified student matters because sometimes the person on the edge of the scene knows more than even they realize. So here's what detectives should be watching now. 1. The beginning of a timeline. This week gives us some of the first useful time markers in Dr. Hammond's final evening. She was expected at the faculty blood drive at 6 p.m. She didn't arrive. Claire Donnelly became concerned later that evening. And sometime after that, Hammond was found in office 214. That isn't a complete timeline, not yet. But it is enough to start asking where people were, when they noticed her absence, and how long Hammond may have been alone. 2. Access. Who could enter Hawthorne Hall? Who could enter Office 214? Was a key required? Was the door secured? Who had reason to be in the faculty wing after hours? 3. Awareness. Who knew Hammond was supposed to be at that blood drive? Who knew she might still be in her office? Who would have noticed if she did not appear? 4. Proximity. Who was near Hawthorne Hall that evening? Who had business there? Who did not? And who may have been watching from the edge of the story? Detectives, this week doesn't give us a suspect. It gives us a map. A map of people, offices, responsibilities, movement, and possible access points. And that may be exactly what we need. Because whoever killed Dr. Vanessa Hammond did not just need motive. They needed opportunity. And opportunity often begins with access. Your job this week is to look closely at the people around Hammond. Don't assume Claire knows everything. Don't assume the headmistress knows nothing. Don't assume that facilities work is background noise. And do not assume that a student nearby is automatically innocent, guilty, or irrelevant. This investigation is moving beyond the first shock of discovery. Now we start asking who could have been there? Who should have been there? Who was missing when it mattered? And who may have seen more than they were supposed to? Detectives, review your notes. Start building your timeline. Watch the names. Watch the doors. And remember, a Blackwood Academy absence may be evidence, but access may be everything.